Steven, would you say you or me are Batman and Robin when it comes to this dual partnership we have?
I'm Batman. I'm always Batman.
Why are you Batman?
Because I say so.
I guess I can't argue with that.
Yeah. What are you going to say about that one?
I think you have more Robin features, I would say.
How's that supposed to mean?
You're kind of more like a Robin, I'd say. I don't know what it means. That's what I say. That's what I say. I'm Batman.
No, dude, I'm Batman. You're Robin.
See, no one wants to be Robin, which is why that's very adult of Jimmy Butler to say that.
Wow, I'm glad you went somewhere with that. I have a quip with that one though. A quib.
Yeah,
Quip.
sure.
His last name's Butler. It'd be
So he's Alfred?
He'd be Alfred. It'd be way more clever if he was Alfred, I think.
Have you heard the great Antonio Daniels do interviews on KMBR 95.7?
Man, it's been a while since I've heard him, but yeah.
Antonio Daniels used to play for the San Antonio Spurs back in the day. He does I believe, TV analyst work for the New Orleans Pelicans broadcasts. And that's one of his favorite things to say is, man, the Warriors need not only a Batman. I mean, they got a Batman in Steph Curry, but they need a Robin. They also need an Alfred. It's one of his go-to lines. He loves the Alfred line.
But when did he say that?
Multiple times when he's come on with either me or Tom or anybody I booked with in the past.
Because they had a Robin. They had one. They had Clay. But then he stopped becoming Robin and turned into, like, you know, Robert or something. I'm trying to think of, like, an older name for Robin.
Well, if you know Batman lore, he would turn into Nightwing, who was very vengeful of Batman.
I don't know Batman lore that deep. I'm not that deep into the comic books or anything.
I'm not a comic book nerd per se, but I do love I love myself some Batman.
Yeah, who doesn't? Batman's the best.
Well, some people would argue that he's not really a superhero. He's just a rich guy with gadgets, as Marcus Boucher called him today.
But that's what's relatable. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's relatable about it. Like, Superman.
That's what I say.
Superman is boring because they just created, like, some superhuman person who could just do everything.
That's what I
don't care about this guy. Like, I don't care about Superman. If he dies, he dies. So what? But Batman, I'm like, oh no, this guy's doing stuff for the good. You know, he's like what Elon Musk would be if Elon Musk wasn't an absolute psychopath.
Also, did you go Ivan Drago there with Superman? If he dies, he dies.
He dies.
If he dies, he dies.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, back to your original thing. Yeah, Antonio Daniels didn't say that in reference to Klay Thompson as far as Robin. It was ever since Klay Thompson left that they've been searching for that Robin and even Alfred. And I think that, they found their Robin in Jimmy Butler. But the Alfred is still a question mark, a riddle even, if we're going full Batman terms.
Wow. Could we have been more wrong about Butler? I mean, we'll get into the game last night, but I thought that really spoke volumes because I think part of the concern with him getting traded to the Warriors is that he would kind of like Kevin Durant struggle with the idea that this is Steph's team and no one else can come close to him. And it's like, I'm not going to get the same love and appreciation. I don't know if that was necessarily the concern, but it's like how Jimmy would react if he's not the alpha on a team. But he made that pretty clear when he first got to the press conference and introduced himself. And he's like, just got to give the ball to Steph and get out the way. It's easy. But like, I think he's already exceeded expectations.
I would say so, but is my confidence level in the Warriors?
Stop it with the confidence crap, Derek. Jesus. Who cares what your confidence is? There's going to be one team left standing. You don't have to say they're going to win the championship. They've gotten to this point because Jimmy's on the team, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, but there definitely was some flaws last night. It wasn't perfect.
They won, though. Who cares?
We'll get to it all.
Good God. Just enjoy it.
I am enjoying it. At the same time, you could say that you said it was a foregone conclusion that they would beat the Memphis Grizzlies, and they did. Yeah. But it was a nail biter. It wasn't easy.
Absolutely. But they won. My confidence level's not as high as it once was. Well, no one expected them to be anywhere in the first place.
Well, not necessarily. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We will get all to the Warriors beating the Memphis Grizzlies last night to advance to the playoffs for the first time since 2023, where they lost in the second round to the LA Lakers. We'll see if they last longer than this time around. And we got some playing games going on right now. Is it the Miami Heat taking on the Chicago Bulls? I haven't checked that game out at all.
Correct, sir. I haven't checked in on it. I've been
Jesus.
the old
I should have stuck with my Miami Heat prediction. Good Lord.
Ooh,
you see the score?
No.
Miami Heat are leading the Chicago Bulls 71-47.
Boy.
So is Andrew Wiggins going off in this game?
At what point in the game is this?
God, Tyler Hero, it's halftime.
Oh.
Andrew Wiggins has 12 points. Yeah, they are just yikes. I should have stuck with that pick. Regardless, Chicago's winning that game right now, and the Dallas Mavericks and the Sacramento Kings will play later on around 7 o'clock, probably when we're wrapping up here. And the Giants are leading the Phillies as we speak with the bases loaded. So we'll keep you abreast of anything that transpires in that game. Yes, Steven, I say that word, and it's the accurate word.
It's bizarre.
All right. We'll also get to some NFL draft talk. And
listen, I called out your confidence crap.
What?
Confidence level.
Yeah, it's a good topic. We'll get to it. And we'll talk some NFL draft. And I know Rocca New Era says he's going to leave as soon as we talk draft. Rocca New Era, what are you doing, man? Stick with us here. All right? You're not going to get any draft analysis like what you get on Just Your Opinion, man. And we're also, about a week away from this whole thing. So we're coming around the corner here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be locked in.
As you should be. But it's going to pertain more to the Raiders and the mystery of who they'll draft at 6. We also got some trade conversation going around with the NFL. And we'll debut a new segment, Just Your Opinion Woman, on a topic that has definitely caused some controversy. And it's a good debate. I actually like this conversation a lot. I don't think there really is a right answer to it, but we'll get to it later. Let's start with the Warriors. They win last night, 121-116 over the Memphis Grizzlies, and it really was Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry going to work. Jimmy Butler scoring 38 points. I believe he had 21 at the half, and he was just incredible. Yeah. 12 of 20, 12 of 18 from the free throw line. And Steph Curry was not 100%, but he was Steph. He got through it. He scored 37 points, but he was 9 of 22, 6 of 13 from the 3 line. And, yeah, I mean, those two guys really carried the Warriors to a win, I would say. And, yes, I think you and I, more so me, I was very hesitant about the acquisition of Jimmy Butler because I just didn't think that it would translate this well. I thought that he would want to play his own style of basketball that we saw with the Miami Heat, where he was more ISO oriented, and I just didn't think he'd be this selfless. And he got more selfish yesterday, which is what we've been waiting on. And you called it, Steven. He would turn into Miami Jimmy, playoff Jimmy. He got more physical. He got to the line, and that's something the Warriors desperately needed this season. And, yeah, he's definitely turned them into something totally different when they were struggling. But I will say they had a 20-point lead. They were playing great. And then the second half, things went in favor of the Memphis Grizzlies. And it was kind of reminiscent of the Clippers game where you had Desmond Bane going off from three-point distance. Nobody could stop Zach Edey. I mean, Draymond Green tried his damnedest, but they were getting killed inside. And there are flaws with this team. And I think that to expect Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry to go off every single game and carry them to a championship, I think is foolish. I think that there's no way in hell they're going to win this championship if they don't get Brandon Pajemski and Moses Moody combining for more than 12 points. Mm-hmm. And, they got time, and I think that Brandon Pajemski and Moses Moody will play a hell of a lot better than they did yesterday. I would even expect Jonathan Kuminga to have some sort of role in this series against the Houston Rockets. I know you're shaking your head, And I know that there's been a lot of talk about this lately for him not playing the last 2 games. He was DNP for the Clippers game and last night's playing game. But Jonathan Kuminga has had his success against the Houston Rockets. And I do think just the nature of the game last night with how important it was, I think that Steve Kerr had no patience for playing Jonathan Kuminga. He played Guy Santos, didn't play Jonathan Kuminga. We'll get to Kuminga a little bit later. But there's flaws in this Warriors game. I mean, like, even though Jimmy Butler was amazing, he doesn't kill you from the three-point line, and that's something that the Warriors did in the past. They always were able to get over their lack of size. This is not something new with the Warriors. Draymond Green is, predominantly always played the 5 for them in the postseason, and they, mixed and matched and had, Zaza Pachulia or JaVale McGee or, DeMarcus Cousins, Andrew Bogut, different centers come and go. But Draymond Green is pretty good defending the 5. And as he's gotten up there in age, and we've seen it the last 2 games, the Warriors are getting killed on the boards. And the way they've overcome that is just, shooting better than the other team. Steph Curry being incredible and Klay Thompson being incredible. But they don't have that right now. And Jimmy Butler's great on the inside, but to take a game over like that, that's not going to happen in the way that Klay Thompson or even Kevin Durant could do in the past. So I am a little worried about that. I also think that if that game had gone to overtime last night, the Warriors would have been gassed and not have been able to give enough like they did against the Clippers on Sunday. As far as the officiating, what are you laughing about?
It's just flaws. They would have been gassed. Can't you just be happy they're in the postseason for now? Like, why do we have to focus on this? Like, I don't get it. I mean, I get the concerns, but God, immediately you're just like ready for the flaws, man.
Because
it's unreal that they're at this point, I think.
Okay, then by all means, talk about the positive, Steven.
Well, it's just they traded for Jimmy Butler, then they won what? They won 23 of their 30 games or whatever crazy number that is, and now they are in the 7th seed, and they managed to get at least 4 days rest. I agree with you. There are some concerns and there are some flaws, but each game changes on a day by day, on a game by game basis in the playoffs. Like, who knows how they're going to – one night, I think Brandon Podziemski is going to go up. Like, you're not going to see Brandon Podziemski scoring 3 points in a single night, and you were just going to get to the refs. You're not going to have the refs with several blown calls in just the final 2 minutes, which they admitted to in the pool report. The fact that the Warriors even got by in this game, I think there was a lot of issues in terms of, like, the game plan. I don't understand the Jonathan Kuminga thing. I really don't. There was no reason that Jonathan Kuminga should not have gotten on the floor. Like, you can't tell me that it was a bad fit as a matchup. Like, no, it wasn't a bad fit. Same with the Clippers. Like, Jimmy Butler played 48 minutes, and Kerr's just been talking nonstop about fatigue and rest and how we need to get these guys some form of just a break, because they've been going at it all season and they've been playing playoff games pretty much for the past 2 weeks. Like, I don't understand that part, but the fact that they skated by when no one besides Steph and Jimmy had it going, and then Steph turned into Batman, really scoring those final 10 points. I was worried about them kind of winning a close game. It kind of felt like the 49ers to me, where they're great with a big lead. They can build one up in the first half, and then they can hold, or at least into the third quarter, and then potentially hold it into the fourth. But if the game gets close and they squander it, I did have questions. And the fact that they were able to do that after an overtime game already against the Clippers, I just thought it was a really impressive win, man. I know, like, a lot of people are down on it, but I don't know. The fact that they just got 4 days off after they crapped away the past few games in that regular season, I don't know. I mean, we can talk about the flaws, all right, but I'm just happy they made it through. Like, I did not want to be talking about a game coming up on Friday. That Mavericks and Kings game was like the winner of that. It's like a death sentence for the 8th seed.
Of course. I mean, yeah, the alternative is much worse. They won the game.
Yeah.
But along the way, there are things that are glaring where I'm like, damn, they need to improve on this.
Sure.
And I don't think they should have been in this position in the first place. I think they should have been able to avoid the play-in. But, it is what it is. You had a really bad middle of the season. You acquired Jimmy Butler, and they're a hell of a better team right now. But down the stretch, it's pretty evident what they're lacking right now. And I do question, like, I thought they'd be able to overcome some of their deficiencies, and I thought that they weren't really as bad as they were, and I thought they'd be handle most of the Western Conference given how many coaches were fired, how inexperienced some of these teams are, and the Thunder and the Rockets. But I don't know anymore. But yes, as far as last night, the officiating was pretty awful. Mm-hmm. And the NBA 2-minute report came out a couple hours ago. They admitted that that the Brandon Pajemski foul on Scottie Pippen Jr. was not a foul. And had Steve Kerr had a challenge there, that probably would have been overturned. That was a egregious call. Same with the Kevon Looney foul on Zach Edey. I don't know what the hell that was. He barely touched him. I thought that was a ridiculous call to make in the last 2 minutes of the game, however many minutes were left in the game. Also, the Draymond Green foul that probably should have been a foul on Zach Edey that made Zach Edey go to the free throw line. I didn't understand that call. Now, initially, I mean, the fact that the Memphis Grizzlies lost that game on a 5-second violation is just awful. Absolutely awful. Mm-hmm. But in real time, I don't know if I texted with you, but I was texting with a bunch of people while the game was going on. I was like, that didn't seem like 5 seconds to me. That seemed really quick. And on second review now, Bonte had the tweet out. It was 5 seconds and a half. So they got the call right there. But the fact that the Memphis Grizzlies didn't get a play-in, good Lord. To lose that game like that, I think that's fucking awful. So, yeah, I think that the Warriors, I'll give a lot of credit to them. They found a way to win this game. You have to give a ton of credit to Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. They're incredible, and that's why those guys are Hall of Famers. But along the way, yeah, there are multiple things in that game where I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. And I think that I slept on the Houston Rockets. A lot of people they're favored. The Warriors are favored in this series. It's one of the few times that a 7 seed is favored over a 2 seed. And I think that, there's just things with the Warriors where they should be the better team. They have the more experience, they have the more talent, but they're also getting up there. And I know that Draymond Green said we're not senior citizens, but it's coming into play a little bit. Like Steph, I know he was hurt with that thumb injury, and I was worried about that. And I think that's why he was a little bit off last night. But
right,
you can't tell me that if the Memphis Grizzlies came up with a way to tie that game in regulation and go to OT, I thought the Warriors would have been gassed. And you're seeing it. Like Jimmy Butler's amazing in the first half, still incredible down the stretch in the second half, but gets a little bit tired, and everybody else, like Steph, that's what happens when Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry carry the fucking team. So it needs to be better. You need to find a big man presence, and I don't know where you do that right now. Quidden Post needs to nut up a little bit, and Kevon Looney needs to be the guy that we saw in the 2022 playoffs where he was getting 20 rebounds. There needs to be more of a big man presence, and I don't know who you get that from right now. And there also needs to be better shooting from Brandon Pajemski and Moses Moody. But hey, I will take the win. Of course I'll take the win.
Yeah. Well, Kevon Looney only had 1 rebound, and they have a 7'4" tower out there in Zach Edey. And Edey was not that great. He's just, it's your criticism coming from him out of college, where he's just big. And that was really his only skill. Last night, he had a couple of tip-ins late, but really when they tried to get the ball into his hands, that's when they ultimately failed. Like that was when their offense was at its worst. I do think we got to give credit to Desmond Bane for hitting some incredibly tough shots.
Absolutely.
Ja Morant for being able to come back from that ankle injury and at least still manage to play in the game and give them something to think about. Though I don't know how they didn't try to switch on to them as any chance that they could get. It didn't feel like they were really going after Ja as much as they could have. And I think that big man, if you're looking for a big man presence, I think that the one guy you are going to get it from is Kevon Looney. He had 1 rebound last night. I don't think you're going to see that against the Rockets. In the 4 games that they played this year, the fewest that he had was 7. He had 11 in their last game, then 9 the previous, then 11 again, and then 7 in that one. And if he's not working out, then I'm at the point where I'm ready to see more Trace Jackson Davis than Looney, because it feels like Looney's been kind of more of a liability on the floor. But who knows? I think playoff Looney's a real thing. Playoff Kevon. We're always talking about playoff Jimmy. What about playoff Loon? It always just happens where he just gets this, he just kicks it into fifth gear, and all of a sudden he's like this rebounding machine. Look, I think that ultimately with the Rockets, the reason why they're favored is because the Warriors have dominated for the most part in this regular season series. And I think if they get out to an early lead, at least get one win on the road, that would be huge. Obviously, the series doesn't start till the road team gets a victory. I think it's imperative that they do. If they go down 2-0 early, then I don't know how much of a chance I'll give them. But I just think this thing's going to change on a game-by-game basis. Good God, Buddy Hield needs to start knocking down some shots if he wants to help.
Yeah, I don't know about him.
Yeah, he's becoming a liability too. Seeing a lot what Kings fans are talking about now, or anyone who's watched.
He's Swaggy P. He's Swaggy P. He is unplayable in defensive situations, and you asked for him to get a 3, and he's totally off.
Yeah, and he's goofy, very goofy.
Yes,
he's just that he's.
And usually I like goofy, but not this type of goofy right now, buddy. And honestly, when you are not playing well, you don't deserve to be Buddy. I'd say you're Bud Hield right now.
Just Bud.
Just Bud.
Wow. Feel like that's Bud Hield.
Bud Hield. You got to deserve to be Buddy. You have to earn my respect to be my buddy.
Is that his real name? Is that like his birth name, or is that something else?
Well, Jimmy Butler thinks it's a stupid ass name to begin with.
Chavano, or is it Cavano? Chavano. That's his first name. So maybe we call him by his government name until he starts hitting some shots.
That's fine with me. Was it Chavano or Gavano?
It's Chavano.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. His middle name is Rayner. That's kind of
where to get Buddy from?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he was a big Nutty Professor fan. Buddy Love.
Okay. As far as Jonathan Kuminga, look, the truth is, and I think people know this already, but I'll just say it again. Steve Kerr is not like the guy. That's just the truth. And he doesn't trust him. You know why? Because he doesn't have a high basketball IQ. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's what he thinks of him. And he has all the talent in the world. He has flashed here or there. But when it comes down to it, I don't think Steve Kerr trusts Jonathan Kuminga at all. And I don't think Steph Curry trusts Jonathan Kuminga. You saw that clip, Steven, I'm sure you did, of Friday night against the Portland Trail Blazers, where Jonathan Kuminga brings the ball up the court and Steph Curry's like, what are you doing? This is not the offense. I think it's a little bit of that. I don't think that this goes through, like, with how adamant that Draymond Green and Steph Curry were that Jonathan Kuminga needs to play a little bit more. You haven't heard that a lot lately. So I think they have a little role in this. I think people need to realize that Jonathan Kuminga is a very talented player, but he just doesn't fit on the Warriors. I do think inevitably he will be traded this offseason, but that's not the conversation right now. It's about this playoff run. Mm-hmm. I don't really want to hear a lot about Jonathan Kuminga. And I know that he's a polarizing player, but he really has no impact on this basketball team.
None at all. And he's looking out for what seems like his own best interest. Like, that's the only reason I could think of for Steve Kerr not to play him, outside of, the turnover prone, defensive lapses, kind of selfish ball that he plays at times. Like, I think that there's just too many growing pains right now with the way that the growing pains that were there at the beginning, they're still there. Like, you could post a workout video about how Kuminga's working on his mid-range jumper and how he's knocking him down before the season and say, oh, he's turning a corner. This is the type of guy that they're going to give a new contract to. That doesn't matter. Individual success doesn't matter. It's Steph's team, and now Jimmy Butler has easily usurped him. Brandon Pajemski has usurped, and Moses Moody. Those guys play within the team. I'll say this for Brandon Pajemski, even though he looked terrible yesterday, he still plays within the flow of the offense, although I want to see his confidence built up a little bit more, because there's one shot that he passed up on where he would normally take that, or he would have taken that these past few games, but instead he just passed it to Jimmy in the corner, and then it kind of turned into a wasted possession, which they don't need. But getting on to Kuminga, I don't know if he said something or if there's just body language at practice, but I think it was pretty notable how Draymond pointed out that story about Trace Jackson Davis and him giving up the seat to Quentin Post on the bench, and how that plays into a winning culture. Whatever Jonathan Kuminga is doing, however he's acting, it doesn't factor into their championship culture, which is the last thing they need in the playoffs, is someone looking out for their own best interest as opposed to that of the team. And I think that's what you saw with Jordan Poole. I think that's now what you're seeing with Kuminga, and it sucks. It really sucks. And I don't know. I think I wonder if Steph was defending Kuminga that one time after he had a really good game. And it's like every game, it's either the worst game that he's ever had, the best game of his career. We need to stop talking about this guy and just focus on what's at hand. I wonder if there's frustration there because he's thinking like he doesn't deserve to get all this attention. Like he's not much of a factor in our offense anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, it's Steph because he's a good dude, but I wonder if there was a little bit of that. Maybe just a smidge. Just a hit, Derek. Just a hit. A little hit.
No, I think you're onto something, and I think that I was going to bring up Jordan Poole, and I think that you nailed it. That I think that it doesn't matter about potential on this basketball team. They've won enough championships, and they know who's going to be a good teammate and go all in with the culture. And they're not here to be babysitters. And in the whole notion of, well, Steve Kerr doesn't know how to develop talent. I disagree with that. I think Brandon Pajemski's gone in, come into his own, and the same thing with Moses Moody. Jonathan Kuminga hasn't done that. And there's times, like I said, where he's flashed and you're like, holy shit, this guy has potential. But it's not consistent enough. So, again, this will be a conversation for the offseason. I do believe Jonathan Kuminga has a role in some regard as far as, playing minimal minutes here or there against the Rockets. But to act like he's going to be the game changer of a series, we need to get past that point. And we need to even have a debate if he's going to be on this basketball team come June or July when free agency kicks in. So we'll see about that. As far as the Warriors moving forward, this series against the Rockets is kind of reminiscent of when they had the 3-6 matchup against Sacramento Kings. The Kings were the team that was on the rise. They were younger, and they got off to a hot start, beating the Warriors, starting that series 2-0. And then the Warriors had to come back. They won 3 straight. The Warriors dicked around in that game 6, and it took Steph Curry scoring 50 points in order for them to go on to the next round. And then they were gassed in that game. And they also didn't have answers for Anthony Davis. So I want to see them avoid that this time, where they can't be messing around. They can't, just because they've won, championships in the past and they found their way to, down 3-1 or 3-2 and come back in one series. They can't do that this time around. They don't have the stamina. They don't have the age or the youth in order to get by like that.
Yeah.
So I think they need to take this team out quickly. They need to steal one game in Houston and go from there. But I'm not sleeping on this Rockets team. I'm taking them seriously. I don't know if they're a championship contender, but they definitely could compete with the Warriors. Even though, 3-2 in favor of the Warriors this season, every game's been close. You had the game where the Warriors almost blew a 31-point lead back in November without Steph Curry. Then Jonathan Kuminga has a great performance, scores 34 points. They win that game, I think, in November, like 99-93. There was a game right before the All-Star break with Jimmy Butler where the Warriors won that game. I think the Rockets rested a lot of their starters. The NBA Cup game that the Warriors blew, and then just recently they were gassed, in wins against the Lakers and Nuggets, and then I guess they underestimated the Houston Rockets. So yeah. I'm definitely not taking this series for granted. I definitely think that the Warriors have their work cut out for them, and Ime Udoka, as you pointed out, Steven, in a previous podcast, is a really good head coach. So the Warriors have their work cut out for them. That's all I'm saying is I do believe the Warriors could win this series, but from what I saw against Memphis, they have a lot of work to do. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. And I think with the Rockets, though, the reason that they are favored is because I don't know who is going to score against them if it turns into a shootout, say like last night's game did. Mm-hmm. With the Grizzlies, you could rely on, say, Ja Morant or Desmond Bain. And look, with the refs, you don't want to blame the refs, but I think that score would have been a little more lopsided and it wouldn't have come down to a final 5-second violation and the Grizzlies wouldn't have been in that game. I just don't think the Grizzlies would have been in that game had it not been for those terrible foul calls on Pajemski, the phantom one on Looney, which they, as you mentioned, I don't think they answered for. So I think we would have been feeling a little bit better had those calls not been made. Did they squander the 20-point lead? Yeah, that's going to happen, but they staved off the comeback anyway. I just wonder who is going to beat them when it comes to a shootout besides Jalen Green. Jalen Green's a total ISO player. He's so talented. He's so good. And you know what? He probably has future MVP written all over him. He's like 23 years old. He's got a long time left in this league. And I think he was like actually, it was Lo Neal who first told me about him. Lo was obsessed with him because he was a dude out of the Central Valley. Like he was out of Merced, and then he was playing some basketball in Napa for Prolific Prep. And that's where he was like the number one recruit. So like he's on track to superstardom and he's probably already there, but who else is going to beat them? And I think that's what they're going to be missing. And if they just, I think the experience just is the big factor too. I think experience over the youth. The Rockets are really good, but with just how young they are, they kind of give you the vibes of those early Warriors teams where it's like, or those Kings, that Kings team maybe, where they're just so young. And even though they might have more energy, obviously they have Dylan Brooks too. That's one guy I forgot about. He's going to be a thorn in the Warriors side all series long. And they're going to get a little revenge, I think, for that Grizzlies series too. But look, the Warriors always come out on top if this turns into like a mental battle as opposed to a battle that goes on the court. And God, Steph needs to get healthy. Steph really needs to get healthy and get over that thumb injury. That was scary yesterday. Can't believe
I mean, that's where I was worried, like in the closing minutes, and he's holding his thumb, and you're like, damn, is he 100%? Is he going to be able to make some shots here? And he came through as he always does. But I hear you on the calls last night, Steven, that they played a factor in the Grizzlies coming back. But I think it's also just the lack of rebounding by the Warriors. I mean, they got killed inside. Like, I don't know what the final numbers were, but it was significantly in the favor of the Grizzlies getting defensive rebounds.
50-39.
Yeah. So they need to do a better job with that. But I don't know if the Houston Rockets really have, like, who's their big? Şagun and then Steven Adams off the bench.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really worried about their size, but they need to play better. And Kevon Looney needs to step up, and Quinton Post needs to play a little more defense. Trey Jackson-Davis, I think, has a role in this series. So, I mean, it'll be game to game. But I do like the Warriors. They just need to play a lot better than they did last night, even though they did win. So I
think they also have to get past the whole rebounding thing because the Rockets average 48 rebounds a game, which leads the NBA. So that's going to be an issue, but I don't think that's going to be the be-all, end-all. I think you're going to have to survive with getting out rebounded, and you're just going to have to play solid defense and force turnovers and all those different things. That's what the Warriors did against the Grizzlies. I think they had like twice as many turnovers as the Warriors did last night.
Yeah, but I do think that they need to bring a little more physicality, a little more nasty. So it's not the end-all, be-all, but the rebounding numbers need to be a lot better than what it was last night.
Yep.
All right, let's pick that series and all the other series in the NBA playoffs. A little thing we call wins or wangs as we go through the first round of the NBA playoffs. So let's start in the West, Steven. Let's start with that Warriors-Rockets series. Who do you like and how many games?
I got the Warriors in 6.
Warriors in 6.
Yeah, I'm feeling confident.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I'm feeling real confident about that.
All right. You know what? I like that, too. I'm going to go with Warriors in 6.
Ooh.
Yeah, can't go 7. Don't want a repeat of the King series, but I see the Warriors winning a couple games in Houston, and they go on to the second round. All right, let's go to the Lakers and Timberwolves. Who you like in that series?
Ant-Man, Superman, Jackie Chan. Lakers in 5.
Are you just like repeating something you saw on like a social media post of LeBron James with a cigarette in his ear?
No, I'm guessing that's the Shannon Sharp thing.
Oh, is it really?
You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't.
Dude, you haven't seen that whole compilation video?
Hey,
Oh,
man,
that
you
joke
haven't
joke
seen
would-
Chicken Jockey?
Yeah, Chicken Jockey. You're talking about that one, but you haven't seen the Shannon Sharp thing? You've never seen that?
No, I haven't.
Dude, he does that, what is it? Phoenix Sun, Moroccan Sun, Capri Sun, Lakers and five.
That's great analyst work.
He just lifts off three things. And OKC, UFC, I don't even know what the other one is. Lakers
Okay.
and five.
All right. I'm going to go with the Lakers in 6. I think it goes a little bit longer, but I'll go with the Lakers in 6. All right. What else we got? We got the Nuggets and Clippers. Who do you like in that series, Steven?
Ooh, I think that'd be an interesting one. I actually think that can go 7 games, just because Kawhi and James Harden are playing out of their minds right now. It might even be. I don't even. Do we call them like the third best team in the West? Maybe even right now, like
It's debatable.
They're playing really well. So I'm going to give Nuggets the home court advantage, though. So I'll go Nuggets in 7.
Nuggets,
even though they just fired their head coach.
Nuggets in 7. Okay. I'm going to go with, I think the Nuggets are still the better team. But the Clippers are playing really well right now. And Ty Lue's a better coach than Rick Edelman's son. No offense. I'm going to go, I hate to copy you, but fuck, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Nuggets in 7.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And OKC will either play Memphis or whoever wins Dallas and the Kings later tonight. But let's just pick that series with whoever they play. Who you got?
Yeah, this is like when you're picking your tournament bracket and you're just going with the 1 seed over the 16 seed automatically, no matter who's playing in it. I'm going with the Thunder sweep over any of those 3 teams. Kings, Mavericks, Grizzlies. Yeah, it doesn't matter which.
All right, Thunder in 4 for Steven. I'll go a gentleman sweep and say OKC in 5.
All right.
Then we got the Eastern Conference. Who's playing in that? We got the Pacers and Bucks for the second year in a row, I believe. Yeah, Pacers beat them last year. Who you got in that series, Steven?
I think the Bucks will thrive in the postseason. I actually haven't looked too much into this matchup, but I'll just take the Bucks in 6 over, I don't know, just technicality, I guess.
I'm going to go with the Pacers in 5. I think that the Bucks are struggling right now, and you saw a year ago Giannis was hurt, and they weren't able to recover in that series, and now Damian Lillard's been out with a blood clot, and we hope he comes back sooner than later, maybe next year, given his health right now. But yeah, I think that I think Rick Carlisle and Halliburton and everybody on the Pacers just have the number of the Bucks right now, so I'm going to take the Pacers in 5. Then we got the New York Knicks against the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, I'm going to take the the Pistons have been playing well, but ultimately I think the Knicks get it done in the postseason. Give me the Knicks in 6.
Knicks in 6. I'm going to go with Knicks in 5. I think the Pistons are a nice up-and-coming team, but a little inexperienced, and the Knicks are just a better basketball team right now, so I'll go with them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we got the Boston Celtics taking on the Orlando Magic.
Give me the Celtics sweep. I think Boston sweeps that series.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that as well. Magic are pretty good, but not that good, and Celtics are the defending champs, so that makes sense. And then finally, the Cavaliers will play the winner of, they play the Hawks or they'll play either the Chicago Bulls, or it's looking right now like the Miami Heat. So whoever they play, who do you like?
I mean, they've gained 9 points there in the third quarter. It's down to the lead's down to 15 now, so the Bulls are kind of surging. And they might make this a game.
And as we know from Bob Fitzgerald, 15 points doesn't matter in the NBA.
Oh my God, the Heat are just giving the Bulls their best shot. Give me a Cavs sweep.
Yeah, I'm going with that too. Cavs sweep.
It's like it's how it is in the East, man. These series aren't really that fun in the beginning.
It's honestly like, even though the Pacers are a good team and the Knicks are a good team, I think it's a 2-team race between the Cavaliers and the Celtics for the Eastern Conference. It's more wide open in the West. Stop that music, Steven. Perfect time to end it.
Okay. Oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, oh, hey, oh, oh. No.
Damn it!
Sorry.
Oh, that would have been so clean.
I know.
It's like that moment when you get out of the car and the song stops. You're like, oh, perfect. And then the song, like the next song starts a little bit, and you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
It would have been so smooth.
Do you do that thing where you go into a parking lot and you turn down the music?
No.
I'll have my music blasting sometimes.
Are your windows down?
Windows down, sun's out, got the arm on the window, you got all that going on. And then
you got your shades on, you're doing the white man overbite, like yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm like Michael Bolton from Office Space. Just listening to Scarface. I got my pistol point shot.
and then a black guy walks across the street. He's like, I'm gonna turn the radio down a little bit.
Yeah, and let the homies know who done it. every single time I hear that song, the only words that I actually recite, the only words that I actually rap are the ones when he actually turns that music up.
Yep.
I have a killer up inside of me. I only talk to my I don't talk to my mother, so I talk to my diary.
I still think one of the best lines of the whole movie is, yeah, he's the one that sucks. Why have to change my name? Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
Speaking of music.
So that no talent ass clown started.
Yeah, no talent ass clown. How much do you are you a Spotify guy?
Oh yeah.
Okay, it threw me the fuck off this morning. Do you rely on Spotify like in the morning to get you going, music to like kind of energize you?
No, I don't listen to music in the morning. I'm a podcast individual.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll slap on a good podcast when I'm at the gym, but to like when I'm walking out, like when I like get out of bed, like I'll put some music on and like, okay, now let's get the day going. Spotify being down this morning threw me off because I opened the app up and I'm like, what the hell? I can't get anything going here. And then somehow I logged myself out of my Spotify. I've had Spotify for like 7 years now. Never once was logged out. And I could not tell you what email, what anything was connected to. So for a while there, I was freaking out, be like, oh shit, I gotta have my music. Like Spotify, and of all the apps I have on my phone, most of it's useless. Spotify is perfect. Whatever it is, $11 a month for unlimited, music.
Yeah,
perfect. And I logged out, and I couldn't figure out what my login was, what email it was attached to, and then I finally realized that it's attached to my Facebook. And thank God I'm still logged in on my Facebook on my phone because I couldn't tell you what my login for Facebook is, but it's synced up, so I'm in. But yeah, I'm good now. But like, God forbid I ever get logged out again. If I ever get logged out of my Facebook, I'm totally fucked on getting into my Spotify.
So you opened it though.
I'm back in. I opened it, and yeah, for like a good solid few hours this morning, Spotify was down and people were freaking out. I saw people tweeting about it, so I figured out that I should just let it go for a while.
Let's introduce everyone to your Wednesday evening day list, Derek. Do you type in the day list at all when you go on Spotify?
I didn't even know there was a day list.
Yeah, it's a playlist made for you. So type in just day list, and then it'll automatically have this crazy, super detailed format that you're listening to.
All right. You want to know what that comes up for me?
What comes up for you on the day list?
Day list is the old school dance bachelorette party Wednesday evening.
Wow. That's what you got going on, huh?
I guess.
Wow. What you listening to?
We
look like Lou Bega. Do you got like some Mambo number 5 on there?
We got Bust a Move by Young MC.
Nice.
The Way You Move, Outkast. Just a Friend, Biz Marquee.
Wow.
Can I Kick It, Tribe Called Quest.
Classic.
Shoot, Salt and Pepper. Steal My Sunshine by Len. Oh, Steal My Sunshine. Mama Said Knock You Out, LL Cool J, OPP. So basically the 90s hip-hop, the Humpty Dance. Yeah. I'd say this is pretty accurate for what I listen to. I don't know why it's called Old School Dance Bachelorette Party, but yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, I'm on... apparently, I listen to Bay Area hip-hop and Golden Age stuff on Wednesdays in the evening. I got the East Coast hip-hop boom bap Wednesday evening.
So these are these like specifically for you, or they're just random ass playlists that show up?
No, they create this playlist using the algorithm of what you listen to at this time of the day. The day
this time of the day, okay.
Yeah, well, I'm changes every morning, day and noon, every morning, day and night.
That's interesting. I did not realize that because usually at 6:20, I'm usually coming home from work at this time, but we're off a little early today because of the Giants game, and Giants are kicking the Phillies' ass right now. Actually, 11-4.
How about
they
that?
are in the top of the 8th here. So usually when I'm coming home from work, I can't say I'm listening to 90s hip hop, but if that's what Spotify tells me, then Spotify's always right.
Yeah, man. Spotify's I love it. And you can catch Just Your Opinion, man, on Spotify. We're on there.
That is true. That is true. Forgot about that.
On my top 5 most.
Us and Rogan.
Yeah, us and Rogan. We're right up there. And Kylie Kelsey's podcast.
Yes.
And then Call Her Daddy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Is the Hawk Tua podcast still a thing?
Hawk Tua podcast is still a thing. You know who was a recent guest on there?
Stephen Langford.
Chanel West Coast.
Who's that?
The chick from Ridiculousness, who used to have the really annoying laugh and is now a hip hop artist.
Couldn't tell you. I know who that is.
Did you ever watch Robin Big?
I know of Robin Big. Never watched it though.
You never watched Robin Big? Well, they had I forgot even what the shit was. It the Fantasy Factory? Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory, and yeah, there's a iconic scene where his cousin Drama ends up. They play dodgeball, and Drama just nails Chanel West Coast in the face. Iconic, dude.
Okay. Iconic, legendary, even
legendary. Rest in peace, Big Black.
There you go.
Hey man, they used to be my favorite. Before Lonely Island, they were the shit. Rob Dyrdek was Bobby Lie. Bobby Lie.
All right, I hear you.
Big show, so baby. So good.
Speaking of trends, I guess if that's affiliated with what we were talking about previously, what do you think of Gruden? Gruden's new thing now is not the nicey.
Yeah.
It's let me open up a box.
Yeah.
I get from a college. And let me just list off every player I can think of that you went to that university while I get my box cutter and look at the free shit I just got.
Yeah. Unboxing. That used to be a thing. The Portnoy, the Barstool founder, used to do that during COVID.
Oh, really?
He just live stream unboxing stuff and people would watch it. People love watching unboxing shit. I don't know. I can't get into it because Gruden's playing way too much into the Gruden stuff. It's just...
What do you mean playing too much?
It's just he's really trying to play into the John Gruden role. You know, he's really turning into Chucky. It's like just
that's the whole point. He gets clicks, though.
I know. I'm not watching it. I'm more interested in the Gruden's quarterback camp, though. I've seen
that actually,
really
that actually is interesting. I saw him kind of like not grill, but like get into a Will Howard. I need to watch the other ones. Kyle McCord and who's the other guy from Louisville that. Rumor is he's going up in the draft. Tyler Shuck.
Tyler Shuck?
I believe that's his name.
Shook or Shuck?
Shuck.
Like
Shuck. Who gives a fuck? Lakers in 5. See, I'm catching on.
There you go. That's perfect. Good on you.
But yeah, no, I don't know why. I'm thoroughly entertained. It's just Gruden like struggling with the box, being like, hey, I get this thing open, man. And then he's like, let me tell you about Ohio State. You want to know a little bit about Ohio State? Talk about Eddie George, Chris Carter, all these guys, I'm pretty good at listing off names. They give me a free jersey. I wear it around. I love Ohio State. Grew up in Ohio.
I grew up in Dayton, a little place called Dayton, Ohio. God, that didn't work.
You all right there?
Yeah, I'm okay. I choked on something.
All right, everybody follow that one away for Impression of the Year where Steven almost choked doing a Gruden.
Oh, jeez. That's all I got now, man. I need more impressions in the Rolodex. Gruden's all I got.
Yeah.
It's always fun to break that out. But yeah, Gruden unboxing. I can't bring myself to watch 7 minutes of it.
Not a full 7 minutes, but I'll watch the beginning of it and I'm like, God, this is just fascinating.
It's every time.
And then like the guy filming him is always like awkward where like Gruden's like, hey, Joey, ask me how much I love Ohio State. Gruden, I love
it. Is this the way he's getting back into coaching? Is this the media thing? Are we doing
Dude, we talked this a couple of days ago or last week. He's not getting back into coaching right now. This is him. I think that eventually someone will give him a TV job again or maybe like a full-time podcast thing. Gruden should have his own podcast. I think we get to the point where he like interviews coaches and quarterbacks. I think that'd be really fascinating, but I don't think he's getting back to coaching now.
Nah, he needs a pod though.
Yeah,
he needs a pod.
The Gruden Grinder pod.
You think the Manning cast is going to have him on?
I don't know about that. I mean, now you know what? They lost Belichick. You know what? I think we need to expand the Rolodex or the empire that is the JYOM podcast network. So we'll have us, Walter, and then Gruden. I'll reach out.
I am so down for that.
Yeah. And then people will be like, wow, that Gruden podcast is great. What the hell are the other things?
Yeah. 1,000%.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, stay with me here, Rock a New Era, the NFL draft. Hold on. Don't leave just yet. Don't leave. Let me just tell you about what's on the horizon when it comes to trade stuff. What'd you say? Don't talk under your breath. Speak to me.
Bring me that horizon. Doing a little Pirates of the Caribbean, Derek. Let me do my thing.
So, with the NFL draft coming up next week, we may see a little more fuckery, more frenzy, because then, like when we hear trade rumors, pretty much the deadline is always the week of the draft, because that's when you got to that's when it's nut cutting time. That's when you actually have to start like making trades. And well, what are you squinting about? What's the matter?
Nothing. Just Wilmer hit a foul ball directly off his knee. He's fine, but he was grimacing for a while. And then they showed the slow-mo replay. There's not much more that gets me grimacing than errant pitch to the undercarriage of a catcher and the ball straight off the knee or the ankle. Anyway, keep going.
I think he's okay. But there's a lot of trades that could happen next week because a lot of question marks and teams could be moving off of star players for draft value.
Yeah.
So Trey Hendrickson's one that has been out there for quite some time, and the Bengals front office is making, quotes about how he should be happy that he should be getting any type of offer. And Trey Hendrickson then goes on like McAfee and is like, what the hell? So I think that may come to a head. And given that they have paid T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, I think that I don't know how they're going to pay Trey Hendrickson, and he deserves market value when it comes to pass rushers when he's, I think, led the league in sacks the last 2 seasons here. So, what is AJ Cruz asking for attention here?
Yeah, he's just like, where the hell is Walter? I don't know where Walter is. Probably at home. I don't know.
Well, Walter, the Giants game's coming on right now. He can't do a podcast in the middle of the Giants game. That's his whole thing.
Yeah, I know.
And yes, you guys are on to me, as Rocket New Era says right here. I think Derek put a hit on a Walter. Yeah, I don't want him stealing our audience here, so he's dead.
Walter's dead?
Walter's dead. No, I saw him today. He'll be back doing Passion for the Pastime. Don't worry.
Oh, he's been in there for a week. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, he's taking care of some things, guys, but he'll be back. Don't worry.
Some other host is. I'm like, come on, dude. I don't know.
Trey Hendrickson could be a guy that's moved next week. Jalen Ramsey, it came out yesterday that the Miami Dolphins are going to move off of him, and I think that's just because the Dolphins won't say it, but they're doing it. They're doing kind of a soft rebuild, or what was it? Not a rebuild. What was the terminology? Reset for the 49ers.
A McRebuild.
And I think that they really didn't plan ahead. Like they gave Jalen. Not only did they trade for Jalen Ramsey and gave him a contract extension, then last year they gave him a contract extension after he tore his meniscus, and now they want to trade him. And I think that some teams will be willing to acquire him and probably maybe ask him to take a pay cut. And maybe one of those teams is the Raiders. I've been thinking about that. Jalen Ramsey probably fits in Pete Carroll's defensive scheme, especially in the secondary, where that's Pete Carroll's forte. So, and I think Jalen Ramsey was on record. I forget what podcast he was on, but he said when he was traded to the Rams, he really wanted to go to the Raiders initially. So I think that'd be interesting. I don't know how much the Raiders should give up if the Dolphins traded away a 3rd-round pick to get Jalen Ramsey 2 years ago, and he's 2 years older. I say a 4th-round pick would be adequate for Jalen Ramsey if the Raiders wanted to do that. But then again, if you're Jalen Ramsey, would you want to go to a contender, really? And then there's Dallas Goedert.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going to the Dolphins are a dumpster fire right now. It's a Dolphins dumpster fire. They
A
are.
DDD.
Yes. Have you seen this latest thing with obviously there was Tyreek Hill once again in another domestic dispute, and it turns out he's still a jerk. No matter how
Yeah.
much they tried to prop him up and rehab his image through Hard Knocks and try to make us all like him again, turns out he's still got issues.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen what the Dolphins are saying here? This is kind of a bad look. This was with their general manager,
Yeah,
Chris
Chris
Greer,
Greer.
I believe.
Chris Greer.
Yep.
David's question, that's, multiple captains. It's more than like 30 years. I don't know the exact number of NFL experience. Are you confident that you have the leaders in place to, I guess, achieve the desired results in 2025?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We do. And some of the players we added are quality human beings and people that have been leaders at other teams. But I do think in-house, when you have guys like Zach Sealer, just to name a few, you could say Tyreek, Waddle, Alec Ingold, Austin Jackson, the offensive line guys love, those guys, they lead differently. They're quiet guys and how they do it by example and stuff. So we feel comfortable. They know the expectations, as we talked about at the.
It's just stumbling through the leaders portion, and you named Tyreek Hill, and you can't seem to think of anyone else. He just didn't seem very confident with that answer. It just feels like the Dolphins, like that said, I think that speaks volumes. I think the Dolphins are just in total disarray right now. And not to mention who said it last year about them needing to be more competitive or something along those lines. I'm totally botching this, but they essentially said they need players to care. I think it was one guy who came out and said that. Like, it's a big deal over there in Miami right now. It's not good.
No, it's not good. And yeah, he was stumbling through some names there to try to name some leaders. And Tyreek Hill might be a leader, but let's be real. Also, the Miami Dolphins a couple of years ago were trying to copy the Los Angeles Rams by acquiring big name talent. So they traded for Tyreek Hill. They traded for Jalen Ramsey. And just getting big name stars didn't equal them winning a championship, and haven't won a playoff game. And this is where I wonder where Mike McDaniel's act gets a little bit old, as not really being a leader of men. He's a great, innovative offensive play caller, but is he holding guys accountable? You heard a lot last year that guys showed up late. And I think Jalen Ramsey was one of those guys. And then Tyreek Hill, I see all the time him posting on Twitter with the peace out sign. And is he just fucking with fans at this point that he wants to leave or he's going to get traded?
Yeah.
To me, that's like, well, that's like, if you want to be there, then be there. And he ended the season. I'll never forget him in the locker room after they lost to the Jets saying, "I'm out." And they're like, "Do you want to and the reporter's like, "You want to leave?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then he walked that back, but that's still going to be there. And Chris Greer in that same that same press conference, someone asks him, "Would you trade Tyreek Hill?" And he goes, "Not at the moment, unless someone offers 2 first-round picks. That ain't happening." So I think he's going to remain on the roster. But I think the Miami Dolphins have they paid Tua, they paid Jalen Ramsey, they paid Tyreek Hill. I don't think they really know what the hell they're doing right now. I don't think they're going to be a very competitive football team going forward.
They are not serious. To steal the words from Mr. Joe Fortenbaugh, they are an unserious football team.
Was that your Fortenbaugh impression?
No, not. I can't really. No, you can't really do a Fortenbaugh impression. It's really hard. No, you can't.
It's not like a high pitched voice, but it's like it's hard. Give me time. I haven't heard his voice in a long time.
Yeah, it's not an easy voice to emulate.
Yeah, but he and our guy, two of guys that have been on this podcast, both of our friends, I would say, Joe Fortenbaugh and your boy Q, doing good things together on ESPN Radio.
Yeah, shout out to them.
And as far as other trades, Dallas Goedert, Mark Andrews are on the trade block. So we could see the Eagles and Ravens possibly move off of those guys. Both really good tight ends. I would say Dallas Goedert more so. Mark Andrews fallen off a little bit, but still a solid tight end, even though he dropped the 2-point conversion against the Buffalo Bills in the playoff game this year. But there's those two guys. And then there's Derek Carr, and we talked about it last podcast. And I was listening to Scoop City with Diana Rossini and Chase Daniel, and basically multiple people have said this now since Diana Rossini said this on the podcast that I listened to yesterday. This whole shoulder thing with Derek Carr is kind of overblown, and he's not really that hurt. He just wants to leave. He doesn't want to be in New Orleans anymore. He wants to be traded. And this shoulder story, he has an injury, but it's not significant to the point where he would be out for the majority of the season. That's why when I saw the report, I was like, he didn't have a shoulder injury last year. It was his oblique in his hand. Why is this a thing right now? Derek wants to be a nice guy, and he usually is. And it sounds like he just doesn't want to be in New Orleans anymore. And Kellen Moore non-committal with him being the starting quarterback going forward. So you might see them draft a quarterback. I don't know about in the first round. But, yeah, I'd say Derek Carr is trying to maneuver his way out of New Orleans.
I'd say so, too. Sneaky. And he's doing it in a Canadian jumpsuit with the jean jacket and the jeans. Never forget.
What, that one video?
Yeah, that one commercial that he did back in Fresno.
What was that even for?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which brings me to Aaron Rodgers. Okay, go.
They do have Spencer Rattler. They do have Jay Kaner, but I don't think those guys are the answer.
I could see Kellen Moore going with those guys this season just to evaluate the roster, but I don't think there's serious quarterback options going forward.
No.
Which brings me to Aaron Rodgers, just real quick, and I don't want anybody to groan and roll their eyes because I'm tired of this topic as well. But I know. But if we can connect the dots just for a second with me, people. Aaron Rodgers was traded to the Jets the Monday before the draft. So maybe that's what he's used to when it comes to changing to a new team, and that's what he's going to do come next week. But I would say the Steelers actually have more leverage right now than Aaron Rodgers does. And my rationale with that is Kirk Cousins doesn't have a home right now. Derek Carr wants his way out of New Orleans. I think eventually the Steelers and Mike Tomlin could just be like, Aaron, we're done. We're done here, and we're going to offer Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins to be our starting quarterback. You are waffling way too much. We don't want to wait any longer. Either we get an answer right now, are you in or you out? And if you don't have an answer for us, we're moving on to a different quarterback. That's what I would do.
What?
Yeah.
I'm you kind of care. I'm sorry, I'm on Ernie 2's side. You're tired of it, yet Derek, you always bring him up. And if I'm connecting the dots, I haven't connected any Aaron Rodgers dots since ever. Who cares?
I know. It just shows up on my feed. I see it way too much. I saw Aditi Kikawala went on with who's that guy, Andrew Filipponi, and she's like, I talked to him in the offseason. He's not just going to go to any team willy-nilly. He's scarred from his experience with the Jets. And I'm like, just pick a fucking team already. So, yeah, okay, that's it. We're done with Aaron Rodgers. Moving on.
He's going to retire.
Maybe. I have no idea at this point. But if I was the Steelers, I would stop playing these games and just say, Aaron, you in? No? Okay. Kirk Cousins, you're up. Okay, can't get Kirk Cousins. We'll get Derek Carr.
You want to know what I think is going to happen, Derek? I'll give you an opinion. I think he's going to retire. And I think the Dolphins are going to move on from Tua. They're going to be done with Tua, and then he's going to go to the Dolphins next year or 2 years from now. That's what's going to happen.
So he's going to retire but come back.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Bookmark it.
All right. I'll remember that, Steven. That's going to be a hard contract to get off of Tua, but okay.
I understand.
Okay. By the way, speaking of contracts, Derek Carr had his contract restructured by the Saints without his consent. So I think that's why he's pissed off. All right. Rock New Era says, I say anytime Derek brings up Rodgers, he has to do a punishment. Well, what type of punishment? You want me to do hot sauce again? You guys seem to tolerate the DeAndre Hopkins, Dalvin Cook talk a couple years ago. And we're not even there yet with Aaron Rodgers. So give it time, people. Give it time.
But those players weren't insufferable.
Yeah, but that conversation was insufferable. It was all of June and July.
Yeah, but they haven't been holding the NFL offseason hostage for 4 straight years, which Aaron Rodgers has been doing.
Yeah, Ernie too says, put up a Giants poster on your wall as punishment. Never.
Well, at least you'd have some form of a decoration in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably should decorate sometime. Anyway, real quick on the draft. I would say the biggest mystery right now is the Raiders at 6.
Yeah.
I think that.
Ooh, you think so?
I think so. I mean, I think that right now we have a pretty good sense of what's going to happen. Cam Ward's on Twitch talking about his favorite players are all Tennessee players. So I think that's a foregone conclusion. He's going to be drafted first overall. What do you keep reacting to?
The Heat Bulls.
What's the score?
Well, it was getting close, but now the Heat just retook a 15-point lead, and Davion Mitchell just had an incredible block on Kobe White.
Oh, okay. It's 95-80. Yeah, they still got a pretty good stranglehold in that fourth quarter there.
And the Heat just got a pretty big defensive stop. If they manage to get a bucket here, then this could really change the entire trajectory. Anyway, keep going, Raiders.
I think that we know that Cam Ward's going to Tennessee. I think that it sounds like Travis Hunter is going to Cleveland at 2 right now. Abdul Carter could be there at 3 for the Giants. They could trade down. The Patriots want a lineman, so maybe Will Campbell or Armand Membu from Missouri. And then it sounds like Mason Graham's going 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We shall see. It never comes 100% to fruition as we've seen in the mock drafts. But then there's the Raiders at 6, and they could go anywhere. They could go, as many people believe, with Ashton Genty, the running back. They can go with Will Johnson. They could go with Armand Membu, who somebody had the report today that the Raiders are very interested in him, which would be interesting to say because Colton Miller is holding out of OTAs right now because he wants a new contract. He's got 1 year left on his deal. So they could go anywhere at 6. And there's 2 interesting clips that I want to play. Steven, you sent one to me, and I sent one to you. And Ashton Genty, what was this on? Was this on Pat McAfee?
Yes, it was.
He was talking about his meeting with the Raiders and how it went.
On my 30-day visit with the Raiders, they had us playing golf at Top Golf, but I know they were scouting to see who had a good swing or not. I know they were.
How's your game?
It's all right. It needs a little bit of work.
So I think was there a group of you there at the top 30 visit for the Raiders?
Yeah, it was a group of us.
Okay, so I think they're trying to see how you interact with people probably, right? And everybody that has ever talked about you said like perfect teammate, great teammate. It feels like that's something you take a lot of pride in, yes, I assume?
Yeah, I mean, relationships are important, especially, with those guys that you're going to battle with on the field.
So 2 things. When I see that, everyone kind of overreacted, including us, I believe, when Jaden Daniels was pissed off that he had a 30 visit with the Commanders a year ago, and all of it consisted with quarterbacks that he was in contention with for 2nd overall. And we all thought that was ridiculous, and how could they meet all together? And then we found out that's kind of the norm. So Ashton Genty's meeting with multiple, other draft prospects to show up with their meeting for the Raiders. And another thing, I don't read a lot into that as far as Ashton Genty's definitely going to the Raiders because he played Top Golf with representatives from the team.
That wasn't my takeaway. My takeaway was more the group that went.
So who went?
Defensive tackle Mason Graham, obvious. Will Campbell, LSU. Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, Will Howard from Ohio State, and then Josiah Stewart from Michigan, as well as Genty. No Shedeur Sanders on there. Shedeur Sanders didn't go to Top Golf, Derek. They're not picking him.
Yeah, I guess you could surmise that. You could also say that in a different 30 visit that they met with Shedeur Sanders.
Do you think that they
and Will Johnson?
Do you think they mentioned Henry Ruggs at all
when talking to Shedeur?
No, when he was coming from Top Golf. They were coming from Top Golf.
Oh, when that whole thing went down?
Yeah, I wonder. It's just like, hey, like this is the type of place where, you know, you can make stupid decisions and potentially ruin your entire life and a couple other people's lives too.
Yeah, I think they saved that talk for the rookie symposium where Chris Carter's like, "You guys need a fall guy." Remember that?
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, Chris, don't say that out loud.
You need a fall guy.
You got cameras on you right now. Good Lord.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
the way, Henry Ruggs, I think is up for probation in a year.
Oh, good for him.
Good for him. But still a horrible act.
Yeah. Idiot.
Yeah. So do you still believe that Ashton Genty's the best pick for them at 6?
I don't necessarily believe he's the best pick, but if they do pick him, I will not be mad at it. I think they could go in a variety of directions. I don't really have a best pick scenario for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more concerned with them going the worst possible route. Like, I am concerned. I don't think it's the same old Raiders, but I've seen the show too many times where they try to outsmart everyone else and they end up taking some player that was projected to maybe go in the 2nd or even the 3rd round. I just don't want that.
Yeah, I hear you, and I think
John. You know what I mean? Do you
no,
get
no,
like,
no, 100%, 100%. I understand what you mean, because that was a Mike Mayock special where he was like, I don't care what round we draft a player in. That's where we had him valued. That's where we had him on our board, and that really was more Gruden than Mike Mayock. I think Mike Mayock understood this guy is slated to go here. You don't reach on that guy. We're not taking, like, I don't think it was Mike Mayock's decision to draft Cleveland Farrell at 4 and Alex Leatherwood in the 1st round. Mm-hmm. I think that was Gruden's call. I've heard so many horror stories in draft rooms where the owner comes in and says, like, I want to draft this guy. My son likes him. I want him. And the GMs and scouts like, we've been planning this shit for weeks. You're going to fuck up our draft strategy the night of because you like this guy. I think Gruden did that a lot with Mike Mayock. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone's going to do that to John Spytek. That's why I sent you this clip.
Oh, yeah.
Where what's up?
You play it?
No, you got it, my man, in the DMs.
All right, now I saw it, Derek.
All right, okay.
I saw it with the always entertaining and very enthusiastic Bucky Brooks. All right, here we go.
Based on the caliber of player that you're watching, and the ideal scenario is those two things match up, and then that's the perfect draft pick. But that very, very rarely happens. I think back to, to give a real life example of this, I think back to our first draft in Cleveland when I was there in 2010. It was a draft where we had conversations back and forth on Eric Berry and Joe Hayden and who the right pick was at that point, if they both were available. It turns out at 7, there was only one available. It was Joe Hayden, as Eric went 5th that year. But we had a safety in the 2nd round that we really liked, that we really felt good about. So I think ultimately, while it was really close between Eric and Joe, we felt like the drop off from corner at Joe in 1 to what we would get in the 2nd round was a lot greater than the drop off from Eric to a player named TJ Ward. And that's ultimately probably what we would have ended up doing had we had to make the decision. We did not, because, Eric got drafted by the Chiefs that year and Joe was there waiting for us. But that's kind of a real life example of what's the right order to do this in. And, it's got a lot to do with your needs as an organization, but also the players that you can kind of project might still be available at your later picks.
Okay. First, Bucky Brooks and Rhett Lewis, very lively individuals, but very good on draft coverage.
I didn't know they're excellent. Yeah. Just Bucky Brooks doesn't have much of a sense of humor from what I remember on the radio, and it's like,
no, he does not.
I think I interviewed him once, and it was just, it didn't go.
Straightforward, and I would say Rhett Lewis, nice guy, very particular about his highlights when I worked at NFL Network. Very particular.
I got you.
Either way, both guys work on the Raider Podcast Network. That's a good get by the Raiders to do that on a local thing.
Yeah, nice.
Good for them. That I think when you hear that from John Spytek, that's all you need to hear. I think that he's a different guy than what they had in the past with Dave Ziegler and Tom Telesco and even Mike Mayock, where he's experienced, where he's talking about the Cleveland Browns draft from 2010, and we know his past with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This guy values the draft and how you go about it. And right there's a great example where he saw the drop off from Eric Berry to TJ Ward, and you're able to maneuver that. You're able to really value what you really need. So they went with Joe Hayden in 2010, and they were able to get another great player in TJ Ward. That's why I believe they're not going to reach for, and it may not be a reach, but they're not going to overvalue a running back. Even though Ashton Genty is awesome, they could see that the drop-off is not that bad from Ashton Genty to the other running backs in later rounds. So I think they're going to take that into account, and I do believe they're going to prioritize need more than anything else. So that's why I believe Will Johnson, or a wide receiver, or possibly an offensive lineman, maybe the play at 6 when they can see the second round or third round being a possibility to draft a running back.
If they go with the tackle, I think that's going to say a lot about Colton Miller's contract negotiations. He's been holding out. But Derek, they better be right then. Like if you don't pick Janty, who seems like a sure thing, and you feel like you can get one in the later rounds, you better be right, because they don't have a running back right now.
But nothing's a sure thing in the draft. Nothing is.
Ashton Janty's a sure thing. I am pretty positive with that. I am fairly positive. And we are going to clown on that pick if the Raiders make it, because everyone just undervalues running backs and thinks every coach is Kyle Shanahan and can make it work with a 5th, 6th, 7th, or even an undrafted free agent. I just think Ashton Janty is that much of a sure thing. You better be damn sure that you get a solid pick in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round then, because they don't have one. They don't have a running back.
Do you remember Trent Richardson?
Yeah. That's Trent Richardson, though. Ashton Genty doesn't have the same makeup as Trent Richardson.
Trent Richardson was the Heisman Trophy winner.
He gave up. He didn't like football. Like, Ashton Genty's just built different.
I have listened to interviews with Ashton Genty. He seems 100% about football. I just listened to an interview he did with Rich Eisen, and Rich talked to him about meeting with the Raiders, and he said, every mock draft I see, you're slated to go 6 to the Raiders. And he was like, yeah, I can see why. I mean, Pete Carroll's all about running that rock, and yeah, I definitely can understand why I would be there. And I model my game after Marshawn Lynch. That's my biggest inspiration when it comes to running backs. Also, I get that. At the same time, it's not like they drafted Marshawn Lynch. They acquired Marshawn Lynch at the trade deadline. And I believe it was like a 7th round pick for Marshawn Lynch. And, I've been watching some tape on some guys. I'm not going in depth. I'll say that for my interview with Larry Krueger over the weekend. But watching tape on, well, not tape, but just highlights of Will Johnson and Jahad Campbell, the linebacker from Alabama. Both those guys look like Pete Carroll type of guys. Right now, if I had to guess, I say the Raiders are going Will Johnson at 6, just because they really don't have a lot of quarterback depth. They just released Jack Jones. Nate Hobbs left in free agency. I think if I had to guess, in John Spytek's ties to Michigan, I think they're going Will Johnson at 6. And Pete Carroll values defensive backs. He was a defensive backs coach. That's how he built that Legion of Boom defense with Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor. That's how they built that team up. So I think that defensive back's the move there. But, I watched Jahad Campbell, and at the same time, that guy's a really good linebacker. Now, you wouldn't draft a linebacker at 6 these days, kind of like how you wouldn't draft a running back at 6, but you need linebacker play. At the same time, Pete Carroll loves linebackers, but he didn't draft Bobby Wagner in the 1st round. He drafted him in the 2nd round. So I think we're all just kind of jumping the gun here because of what Pete Carroll did in the past. But if you look at what he did in the past, he was smart about how he went about the draft. And that really was John Snyder picking the players with Seattle. So I do believe, if I had to say today, more than a week away from the draft, I do think Will Johnson will be the guy at 6.
That'd be good. That would be good.
All right. So there you go. And if you want more draft talk, Ernie, too, over the weekend here, just to give you a little, we're going to give you the schedule here for Just Your Opinion Man going forward. Steven's going to be out this weekend. He's going to do a little campy trip?
No, wedding. Camping's on Memorial Day weekend.
Gotcha. Okay. So Steven's going to a wedding, and I'm going to have my little brother and Larry Krueger join me on the podcast. But Saturday, with the NBA playoffs going on and people doing Easter, we're going to record those, and I'll try to upload them on YouTube. But we're not going to do a live stream this weekend. It'll be mostly YouTube clips or podcast where you hear the Larry Krueger interview and my brother going through the draft. So, yeah, my brother, Pat H. What? Another Papa? Yeah, my little brother, I know. My little brother knows the draft very well, actually. A lot better than I do, actually. So he's going to join me, and we'll do a little back and forth. We'll do our mock drafts. I'll leave Steven out of it because I know he's really into the draft. So we'll do that, and I'll break it down with Larry Krueger to ask his expertise on everything with the draft. And then Steven and I will be back on Monday because the Warriors are playing their game 1 against the Houston Rockets at 6:30 on Sunday. Did not plan on that. That's the change in times where the Warriors usually would be, the marquee team on the NBA's primetime slate at 12:30 on Easter Sunday. Not the case. They're going to be at 6:30. So Steven and I will be back on Monday to review Warriors game 1. And then with the Warriors playing Wednesday and then the draft being Thursday, you probably won't hear from us until that Sunday, actually. So we'll go from Monday to Sunday next week. So stay tuned for all that. All right. Before we get out of here, Steven, I want to debut a new segment and get into this debate that's rocked sports media. So we're going to do something called Just Your Opinion Woman with Jessie Langford. Is she going by Jessie Langford or is she going by her last name, actually?
She's going by Jessie Langford.
Nice. All right. So before we get Jessie in here, we want to get her opinion on this because it's only fair because this whole debate has definitely spurred some, is it sexist? Are we only thinking in man terms? Is it misogyny? So let's start from a couple nights ago.
Do you have the video?
I think I sent it to you. Do you have it?
Oh, you did send it to me? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get it. All right. Anyway, keep going.
I think a lot of people have seen this. It was on Awful Announcing, but Wiley Ballard is the field reporter for the Atlanta Braves. And they're playing a game in Toronto, and they're having some fun. Like usually when you're a field reporter, like we saw a couple of years ago, remember the guy that broke his arm on the slide?
Yeah.
The Dodgers field reporter that went on the Brewers slide and he broke his arm, and it was a fun thing. Joe Davis made fun of him. That's kind of what you do as a field reporter. Amy G did that back in the day when she was on the Giants broadcast. So this guy's roaming around the ballpark, and he's trying to find fans that he can convert into Braves fans. And he finds 2 women, and this is what happens.
All right.
We're having a lot of fun up here up the Corona rooftop. Who do we got here? What's your name?
My name's Lauren.
Lawrence, all right.
And I'm Kayla.
Kayla, and you guys hang out at the rooftop lounge often?
Once a year I come out to visit.
Okay, well, we timed it pretty well. All right, good. How are you guys feeling about root for the Braves today?
Oof, I don't know. I'm hoping for the best.
What about you? Are you a Braves fan now?
Not quite.
Not quite. All right, I'm gonna go to work up here. Good luck the rest of the way.
Okay, Wiley. You got 4 innings to get the numbers.
Come on.
Get us some more Braves fans.
All right, so they want me to get your number.
They want you to get my
I'm dead serious. They're saying to my ear right now, she didn't believe me because she thinks you guys are not. I'm making this up. Even if you guys weren't, I might use that in the future. That's actually a pretty good move.
This is unbelievable.
So the best part of this right now is that Wiley could totally be faking it. This might be the new move. Just walk around with a FanDuel microphone and an earpiece in and convince fans that they're actually on TV.
I should have thought of this years ago. I am speechless. I got the number. We're good.
All right, so there you go. So he got the digits, and we welcome in Jessie. What's going on, Jessie?
Hello.
Just Your Opinion, ma'am, might be a lot better of a name for this segment.
Named it this like years ago.
Just Your Opinion, ma'am.
Yeah, that's been a thing.
We came up with this idea already?
Yes.
I know we've talked about it, but was it always Just Your Opinion, ma'am? Wasn't it Just Your Opinion, woman?
No. Well, if it was, that's stupid.
Yeah, we're just playing off a Sword Nerd and Expert. Woman. Okay. Well, we wanted to bring you in, Jessie, because it's only fair. Like, I've seen a lot of blowback from this thing. I think a lot of men are like, whatever. Guys just trying to get some digits. It's fun. It's harmless. And I've seen a lot of women in media say this is complete misogyny. How dare this guy? If the roles were reversed, if a woman did this, she would be fired. She would be dragged through the mud. Men are saying this too, that are journalists as well. So before me and Steven give our opinions, what do you think, Jesse?
I kind of understand both sides, I guess. On one side, yes, I think if a woman did it, they would for sure get fired. On the other side of it, the girl was looking at him like she wanted to get his number anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't see a problem with it personally, but I mean, it's like Rockin' New Era says, it is kind of unprofessional. I agree with that, but like, I don't know. I think overall it's a little harmless, but I lean more towards like the neutral side of like seeing both sides to it.
Yeah.
It was definitely unprofessional, and I would be upset if someone, as they were getting my number, was like, yeah, maybe I should try this again. Like, then no, you're not getting my fucking number then if you're going to do this on someone else.
Right.
Good point.
Thanks.
Steven?
My opinion?
I agree with everything that Jesse just said.
Dude, I think I think Ernie too mentioned it. I do think there's a very solid chance this was scripted, where like he walked up and warned them like, hey, this is going to happen. They're going to prod me. But I think that's the thing that I took away from it is the broadcasters, the guys on play-by-play and TV. I think it was CJ Nitkowski, and I forgot who the other guy was. I think they put him in a really brutal, tough position. Like, hey, get her number. Come on. What are you doing? And then you kind of get clowned on. It's this weird thing. And he makes the decision in real time. And, you know, you don't really think about the implications that are going to come from this. You don't think, oh boy, this is going to look unprofessional. You don't have all those thoughts running through your head when you're in the middle of it and they're telling you in your ear, hey, do this. Like, you don't want to, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like a masculinity thing. You don't want to come across as, no, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he should have taken a stand, but then also some of the stuff I'm reading after, a lot of people coming to his defense that worked with him, saying that he's like one of the nicest guys in media. He always treats everyone with respect and has never seen him be like a dick towards women in the workplace.
Right.
So like, I think people are overreacting maybe a little bit, but the double standard is absolutely true.
Yeah.
If he was a female reporter and she was doing that to like a couple of guys, I don't know if she'd be fired immediately, but there would be a firestorm of just hellish tweets that would come her way, and it would never, and she would never live that part down. So that I 100% agree with. The double standard is crazy.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think that I see both sides of it. I see the guy, you know, young, good-looking dude, and he you know, definitely went for it, and he was having fun with it. What's up?
Wiley.
That's his
What's
name.
up? Hey, everyone, I'm Wiley. I'm a Braves reporter.
What impression is this? He didn't sound like that at all.
That's how he sounded.
Play it again. You're
No,
just jealous, Steven.
hey, I'm Wiley.
It's a young, suave, young kid.
Sean Murphy's really good at his job.
Oh, you know what? Actually, does kind of sound like Kermit.
Hey, what's up? We're here at the Corona rooftop. Corona.
Like giving Patrick Mahomes more than anything.
You want to be part of my rainbow connection? So, but if the woman was totally like get away from me, you're making me uncomfortable, then I think we all be like, all right, stop. She was into it. She gave him the number.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
Changed as well.
What's that?
Her body language changed during it, so that's how you could tell that she was into it.
Exactly. So if it was like a whole awkward thing where she was like, I'm creeped out by this, then I think we all be like, all right, stop. Yeah, you could see her head kind of turns. She's kind of flattered by the whole thing.
Body, like, shifts.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the end here because her friend did not seem too happy about it. Look at her friend.
Well, her friend was left out of the whole thing.
Her friend just left out. Done. Donezo.
Now, what if he really, you know, tried to shoot a shot and asked both of them for their numbers? How that would have gone over?
Woo!
You both want my number? At the Corona rooftop.
I also I thought it was harmless, but I also see the double standard. I do believe that I don't think a woman would have been fired, but she definitely would have been made fun of. It would have been slut shaming. It would have been a whole thing online. So yeah, I get it. I totally understand the other side of it. At the end of the day, though, if the guy's not an asshole, if he's not a creep, if this was just a fun thing, like the next night, like last night, they showed him like on a teeter totter of a hot dog. So that's I think at the end of the day, if his intentions were just to have fun, then I don't think it's that big of a deal. But also, I get it. But at the same time, yes, it's totally on the announcers. The announcers egged him on and wanted him to do it. Oh, but the announcers, if it was a woman, like no one would ever do. Like if it was like, I'm not saying this would happen, but like, would Kruk and Kipe ever say to Amy G, "Hey, get that guy's number"? They wouldn't do that.
No, they would
so
not.
it's a double standard in that situation as well, where men are like, "Hey, come on, get her number." It's a I don't think what's that?
It's kind of like locker room talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that probably guys should probably avoid that in the future. I think it was harmless though, but I totally understand the female reporter perspective of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks, woman.
Gosh, my hey. That's my wife.
Easy.
That's part of the joke. We just needed a woman for their perspective.
Also, from that clip, I learned that Nick Miller's still in Major League Baseball. Good for him.
No, there you go.
Former A's or Nick Allen, rather. Sorry, former A's infielder.
All right. Yeah, that's true. All right. So there you go. I think we got the bottom to that of that debate.
You want my number?
Yeah.
Okay. The guy. I'm sorry, Wiley. If you're watching this, Wiley, I'm sorry. I'm sure he's watching this right now. But also the guy who shared it, Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
not the Myles Garrett, just a Myles Garrett.
He got trashed when Myles Garrett did that thing to Mason Rudolph and swung his helmet at him. Everyone was tweeting at Myles Garrett television instead of the actual
shit.
Myles Garrett. He spells it with an I. Yeah.
I
remember that.
Not even the worst case of mistaken identity when it comes to a media member. There's Jerry Sandusky, the pedophile in Penn State. Then there's Jerry Sandusky, the Baltimore Ravens play-by-play guy.
Ooh.
And he got a lot of hate mail. Poor man.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, that's tough.
Hey.
So there you go. I don't know if we solved anything with that topic, but it was nice to get the female perspective since it's usually just you and me and a bunch of dudes in the chat.
We didn't really there's no right answer to that. And all the arguing is just I get why women were pissed, and I think I didn't have so much of a problem with the actual question of should he ask for the number or not. I more had a problem with the people responding to the women who had a problem with it. The responses to that where it's like, "Oh, lighten up, would you? You're such a downer." And it's like, don't tell not just females, don't tell people how to think. If they feel one way, then they feel a certain way. Don't tell them "Hey, you got to lighten up, blah, blah, blah." There's certain things where that might be true, but this is not one of those situations.
Yeah, it was basically like a lot of people telling a bunch of women, "Lighten up, toots." That's basically what it was.
Yeah, so that was the part that made me not uncomfortable, but that was the one where I truly thought, geez, this is the blowback here. If a female shares their opinion saying that this was gross and disrespectful and weird, and it's just no, it's not. Who are you? That kind of thing. It's just, but that's what social media is, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically that's why I think it's a great debate, because there really is no right answer. There really is no wrong answer. I think that you can find it humorous, but also at the same time be like, all right, I totally get the other side of it. I respect the other side's point of view with this.
Yes.
I don't think the guy should be fired. I don't think he needs to apologize. I just think it's just he's young. He was on TV. The older broadcasters egged him on to get the numbers. The girl was into it. That's the end of it. And I think in the future, yes, if he's on TV, it's a learning lesson. Probably don't do that going forward.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. That's all I got for tonight. Steven, anything else on your so-called mind?
The Giants stay hot.
Yes, they do. They win that game. What was it, 11-4?
Telling you, man, the one of the last podcasts we talked about, it's like the bottom half of this Giants lineup was producing, still waiting for that top half, and you didn't really see it yesterday. You saw it was more like the guys 1 through 5, with exception to Jung-Hoo Lee yesterday. But for the most part, these 2 games where they've scored 22 runs or whatever against the Phillies, it's just top to bottom this lineup, man. They really can hit, and I don't know if it's sustainable. I don't know if Mike Yastrzemski is going to keep up what he's doing right now. He was moved into the leadoff spot.
Yep.
Tyler Fitzgerald has had a solid series so far, and I really hope he can be the long-term answer at second base. Defense is still out. The jury's still out on his defense, but this team is just infinitely more exciting. And quite frankly, you started working at the Giants flagship, started hosting at the Giants flagship when they're much easier to talk about day in and day out. It's like, because this team was brutal to talk about before.
Oh, I know, man. I know. It's easier on me, but I will say, regardless, like tomorrow we'll be on after the last game of the series against the Phillies, and if they lose that game, I bet you Giants fans will still call in bitching about something.
Oh yeah.
Either it's Camilo Duvall or, Lamont Wade Jr. not hitting enough, or Willie Adames. He's actually coming around a little bit. My biggest thing, like not a negative thing, but if we're going to go, like if there's one thing to nitpick right now, I don't know if Justin Verlander should be the number 2 guy in the starting rotation.
Yeah.
And it's really early right now.
They left him in too long yesterday, but yes.
I thought so too. But I mean, he's pitched 4 times right now and not a decision in any of those games. Well, he got the loss last night. But for anybody like, who was it? Like Greg Amsinger, like went on KMBR with my pops and Greg Silver and was like, I predict Justin Verlander is going to win 20 games this season. And that's not happening. So, yeah. Like every time I see Ben Verlander tweet, he's like, the Giants are good. He keeps tweeting that. And I'm like, they are. Except for your brother right now. Anyway. Yeah, he's just coming. I mean, what is he, 42? He's solid. He's just not a number 2 in the rotation, in my opinion.
He is the oldest active athlete in North American sports. So there you go. That's all I need to know.
Yes. Right next to Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah. Well, Aaron Rodgers is going to retire, so. Yeah.
And no one wants to hear me talk about him anymore. So hopefully it all gets resolved by next week. All right. We will be back, me and Steven, that is, on Monday to react to Game 1 of the Warriors series against the Houston Rockets. But if you want to hear a little draft insight, come on, Rocket New Era. Come on. You can listen to the podcast and YouTube clips of me, my little brother, and Larry Krueger this weekend as we dive into the draft. Until then, thanks to Otis Bird is the Word, AJ Cruz, Pat H, Rocka New Era, Ernie 1. I think we had, I said Pat H, and we had Tacky for a little bit of time. All right, everybody. We will see you guys on Monday. Check out the podcast over the weekend on draft analysis. Steven, say what you always say.
From the crew over the top deck, this is just your opinion, man.
What voice was that?
I don't know.